check. Hi everyone, I'm Nishant and I'm a designer at Frappe. For context, some of you might remember me from 2 years back. I gave a talk at the ERP Next Conference 2022. It was titled "Good Design is Invisible," and after that, last year I didn't give a talk, so I was the one who was invisible. And because I was working on things which I'm going to present today. So yeah, a little about me for those who are new. I work on primarily I work on websites uh, and marketing. So there's social media and events, merchandise. So I help in shaping up the visual identity of Frappe. So why design is critical at Frappe? So today, tens of thousands of users around 150 plus countries use the Frappe ecosystem of apps. And with such a wide global reach, design becomes a primary concern. So it is the first point of interaction that you as a customer have with us. So there's countless other customers which we have with us. And so at Frappe, while our design ethos remains the same, we are continuously evolving our design language. And at the previous Frappeverse, we introduced a brand new design system, which was called Espresso. Not this one, but now that I have your attention, uh, it was uh, the Espresso design system is created from the ground up by Timeless, which is a studio from Chennai. And since last year, we have made several enhancements to the design system. So Espresso now makes use of Figma's update for variables. And using this feature, we have enabled dark mode across all our apps. So the way it works is you simply design your app in one mode. For example, you design it in light mode, and you can automatically, with just one click, you can change it to dark mode. So we have variables where we have tokens for outlines, surfaces, and text icons. So you can see the colors automatically convert to dark mode. So if you pick a light mode color, it's automatically translated to the dark mode equivalent. So another major introduction is cell primitives, which are like basic building blocks. So long story short, now it's easier to change variants within a component. So for example, if you have a tab group here where you have like icons with text, you can also have variants within the compound element. So now you can, for example, you can see task is without an icon. So you can do the same, for example, with breadcrumbs. So how do you as an enthusiast make use of this? So we have recently released our design system on the Figma community. So you can go ahead. So you can go ahead and design your apps using our design system. Currently only the atom level components are included, but we are adding more over time. So that was our design system. But Espresso is just one part of the puzzle. While we have a fresh new interface for all our apps, it is crucial for potential users who sign up for these apps to discover the apps. The users come through our websites, right? So this is where it is necessary for our websites to be redesigned as well along with the apps. So let me tell you the story of the creation of our websites. And for that, let's go way back in time. Not this far back. I mean, not the creation of man, but the creation of web notes. So in 2008, as most of you might know, Frappe as a company was earlier known as Web Notes. There was no website at this point. But fast forward to 2010, we have a website for our product, which is ERP Next. And this is the era of glossy buttons and glossy like navbars. So finally, in 2014, Web Notes was renamed to Frappe. and the company got its own website. So this is the first this is the first look of Frappe.io. Unfortunately, the middle part is missing because that was not archived. So in the next year, in 2015, we introduced illustrations. This was done by Studio March, which is behind the March T. So fast forward to 2019, the era of minimalism. Uh, so Frappe.io was just stripped down to like cards and photographs. And at this point, Frappe celebrated its 13th birthday. So just like any other teenager, it was having an identity crisis. And with respect to design, so just adding and removing elements, minor changes, and eventually ending up removing the elements altogether. So up until last year, if you had a look at Frappe.io, this is what you would see. It severely needed a visual overhaul and moreover an identity of its own, which is on par with our product UI. So I set out to revamp, which seemed like the most impactful and comprehensive project at Frappe I had taken up at Frappe. And this is how it looks today. So let me tell you the story of the great redesign of Frappe from 2023 to 2024. And this is going to be some behind the scenes process of our design. So I began by working on the primitive components like the typography, the graphic elements, the cards, and more. So this was the first draft of the redesigned homepage. I followed by using like the trending styles of bento box and large typography and images. So these are a few more pages. It looks like any other website today. So this is the design file on Figma, like where I was designing the website. And it was a fine day at Frappe, and all the pages were redesigned, and the website was just about to go into development. And Rishabh was just leaving some comments on the file, some last minute feedback, when suddenly I got a call from him. So it was sharp 7:30 in the evening, I vividly remember, because this was a very historic call which would decide the entire fate of the website. And in hindsight, this is the best decision that we made. So we spoke and he expressed how the current redesign was just not cutting it. And we wanted to go radical. So Rishabh envisioned the website as an extension of our apps. And sometimes as designers, we are so immersed into the design process that it's helpful to get a broader perspective from an external observer. So the entire design was scrapped, and essentially it ended up in what I like to call my graveyard of designs. So I'm sure every creative person, from writers to designers, can relate to having a place like this. So anyway, speaking of Frappe.io, the slate was wiped clean and I began the redesign process from scratch. So the core idea was to implement something, some sense of singularity, that is unity in our design. So between our apps and our website. So we did not want to have a stark contrast between them. They should look like one from the same family. So elements like the sidebar, the typography was borrowed from Espresso, and they were extended to the websites. So let's deep dive into these components, starting with the sidebar. So the sidebar is synonymous with our apps. All our apps have a sidebar. So I brought it into the website. So this is the Frappe.io sidebar. And since we are moving all the product websites into Frappe.io, uh, there was an issue, like, where would we fit the navigation for those product websites into the main navigation, because it was now a part of Frappe.io. So I propose that maybe we could minimize the main navigation, and we could have a flyout menu under more, and that could have the product website navigation, uh, like this. This would be for cloud. But in the end, I just skipped the entire thing, and then I just gave the service websites their own navigation. So now Frappe Cloud has the entire navigation to itself, and so does Frappe HR. So moving on, I redesigned the base components from scratch again for the second time. So like various types of cards, tags, more cards for like blogs and events, testimonials. So finally putting all of it together, the layout, this is how the components would be laid out on the page, and the dimensions for it was also set. And because we went for a 14 pixel base height, base font size for the body, the body text would be too difficult if the width of the text is too large. So we set it at a narrow width, 600 pixels for the body text. And again, narrow width is a remnant of classic web design, which is also noticed and appreciated by people outside of Frappe. So apart from these components, the final component is copy. So we believe that copy is design, and good copy can make or break a website. So I took help from some of the best copywriters at Frappe, and if I have to give a shout out to Rushabh, Michelle, Neha, Rucha, Palkan. So now putting all of it together, we had the homepage ready, and of course with multiple iterations again. So a banner just casually found its way through at the top. And by the way, this was also the first time when we introduced a serif typeface. So until now, we exclusively used sans serif typeface, which is enter. So for the other pages as well, for the example, for the product pages, we started off with three column cards. Then we gradually stripped it down to two. And finally, I just made it a list. Now it looked much cleaner, and it was also linear, and you just focus on one item at a time. So events, again, they went from cards to one column cards. And at this point, because we didn't have control over the thumbnails that people were using, they were not very consistent, the thumbnails, and they were kind of ruining the rest of the vibe of the website. So I just completely stripped it down to this kind of a list, which looks like a calendar format. And this feels more natural, and it gives a broader view, and it is less distracting with the multi-fashion images. Same with the blog, but here I retained the images because they complemented the posts. So once the design is finalized, ideally in the past, I would hand it off to a developer. But there was another amazing development happening at Frappe at the same time, and that was Frappe Builder in production by Suraj. So I believe he's already spoken on this earlier today. But essentially, it was a great opportunity for us to showcase the capabilities of Builder. Uh, so yeah, it was the first time at Frappe that I not only designed the web pages, but I also implemented it myself. And so this is the power that Frappe Builder gives you. It just makes you full stack. And thanks to custom CSS, GSS, for example, I was able to make components like tabs. And Suraj helped out with places where it needed dynamic programming, for example, for the events and for the partners. So yeah, I was like the first full-time user of Frappe Builder. And so I also helped discover bugs and issues with Frappe Builder. And I also suggested some UX improvements. So Suraj and I decided to launch the redesigned Frappe.io on the 1st of January, kickstarting the new year with the new website. And there ends the story of Frappe.io. Or does it like hold up? So what about a dozen plus products that we got? And at this point, we're actually running out of colors for the logos because like we have way too many apps coming up. And so yeah, the product pages also went through the same trips to my graveyard. So the initial versions had a very doodle kind of aesthetic. The screenshots had like annotations. So all of it was cleaned up to blend in with the rest of the website. And so we had all the product pages ready as well. And so currently we are working on the final boss fight, which is erpnext.com. So it's a huge website and it's also a flagship product. So there's like immense effort and thought that needs to be put into it in ensuring that we do it right. So our new design also extends beyond what I just showed you. So this is an adapted design for Frappe Build, an event we hosted earlier. It has our same sidebar breadcrumbs and it follows the similar design guidelines, but it has a flexibility that it allows using a different color palette, a different typeface, and hence we are able to explore like new styles using the same design philosophy. And similarly, this is an adapted design for Frappeverse. So yeah, we also fun and games at times. And speaking of times, if you have heard of Frappe Times, so we inherently have love for print design, and which is classic design. And when print is adapted to web, we get something like the sitemap of Frappe.io, so which looks like the contents of a book. And while designing Frappe.io, I also wondered where else I could tinker around and use some more print design elements. And so we have Frappe Times, which is our monthly newsletter. If you're not subscribed, then you are missing out on a lot. So to wrap up everything that I shared today, what is design at Frappe anyway? So for us, it is design is clean. So we appreciate all of that white space. It's minimal, so we eliminate distractions. It's bold, so we like to be confident and fearless in our messaging and visual design. And it's honest. So if you ever visit our office, this is a board that you'll find, which is something that summarizes our design philosophy. It's the 10 principles for good design by Dieter Rams. So the bottom line is, this is what good design means for us, and this is what we believe in, and this is something that we expect whenever a brand identity is used by anyone on the internet. Remember that design is always subjective. So for example, and it's also influenced by culture and history. So if I were to show you this Japanese website, I would say this looks very cluttered. But if you ask a Japanese person, they'll say that this is a very high context information website. So because high context information is very necessary for them to build trust and confidence in a business. So yeah, my point here is that I'm not here to preach about what good design is or what you as a designer should do or not do. I'm just here to share my story at Frappe and how we redesigned the website. Thank you.